The art of exclusion. For most 10-year-olds, art class is a sanctuary, a place where imagination takes flight and the rules of the world melt into color, texture, and creation. But for Hope and Imani, two bright, creative African-American girls, art class had become something else entirely. It wasn't a sanctuary. It was a place of isolation. In Mrs. Langston's 5th grade art class, most desks were grouped in clusters, creating spaces for teamwork and shared ideas. But not for Hope and Imani. Their desks were separate, pushed against the wall. They didn't choose to sit there. Mrs. Langston decided that for them. While the other students laughed, collaborated, and worked on group projects, Hope and Imani painted quietly, separated from their peers. One day during a class project to create a mural about teamwork, Hope gathered her courage. She raised her hand and asked, "Mrs. Langston, can we join the group?" Her voice was filled with hope, but it trembled with uncertainty. Mrs. Langston didn't even glance at her. In a cold, dismissive tone, she replied, "I think you'll do better on your own." Better on their own? For Hope and Imani, the message was clear. You don't belong. It wasn't just the seating, it was their work too. When Imani painted a vibrant picture of a sunset over her neighborhood, Mrs. Langston barely looked at it before muttering, "Not quite what we're looking for." Meanwhile, the other students' work was praised and prominently displayed on the classroom wall. By the end of the school year, Hope and Imani's excitement for art class had evaporated. At home, they asked their parents a heartbreaking question. "Do we have to go back to art class tomorrow?" Art class, meant to be a place for creativity and joy, had become a source of dread. But the harm didn't stop there. Mrs. Langston's actions sent a ripple through the entire class. Some students mimicked her behavior, ignoring Hope and Imani during group discussions. Others, sensing something was wrong, but unsure how to respond, remained silent. The classroom has transformed into a microcosm of a divided world, one where bias and exclusion went unchallenged. And what about Mrs. Langston? Did she even realize what she was doing? Was her behavior a reflection of unconscious bias, ingrained and unexamined? Hope and Imani's parents couldn't ignore their daughter's pain. They reached out to the school counselor, Mrs. Carter, and shared their story. Mrs. Carter listened intently, her heart heavy with the weight of their words. She observed the art class the following week and saw the truth for herself. Taking action, Mrs. Carter brought the issue to the principal, who arranged a meeting with Mrs. Langston. Hope and Imani's parents were invited to the meeting, and they chose to bring their daughters along. The parents wanted to model how to handle difficult situations by engaging in respectful but firm dialogue, sharing their concerns openly and working collaboratively towards solutions. Most importantly, they wanted Hope and Imani to know that they were not alone. Sitting beside their daughters, they spoke with honesty and compassion, recounting the hurt their daughters had experienced. They emphasized their shared desire for an all-embracing classroom and encouraged Mrs. Langston to reflect on her action. It was a difficult conversation, but a necessary one. Mrs. Langston had to face an uncomfortable truth. Her actions weren't just isolating Hope and Imani. They were shaping the dynamics of the entire class, building a supportive classroom culture. The story of Hope and Imani reminds us of the urgent need for proactive strategies to create equitable and welcoming environments. Here are 3 essential steps educators and communities can take to foster a culture where every student feels valued. 1. Celebrate cultural richness and individuality. Teachers benefit from cultural humility training to reflect on their biases and how these influence interactions with students. 2. Observe and offer feedback. Regular classroom observation and constructive feedback help ensure all students feel seen, heard, and supported. 3. Encourage open dialogue. Foster communications between teacher, parents, and students to address concerns early and collaboratively. It is also crucial to acknowledge and support the many dedicated teachers who work tirelessly to nurture their students. When challenges arise, constructive dialogue paves the way for growth and change. What does it say about our world when 10-year-olds feel unwelcome in a space meant for creativity and joy? When children so young already understand the sting of exclusion? It isn't just a story about an art class. It's a reflection of our broader truths. A reminder that even small choices carry profound implications. Hope and Imani's family and community gave them the courage to find their voices again. Even in a space that failed them, they found the strength to speak up. As we reflect on this story, let us remember the words of Albert Einstein. Creativity is intelligence having fun. Together we have the power to create classrooms and communities where every child feels free to create, collaborate, and thrive. Thank you for watching. If this story resonates with you, let's continue the conversation. Together we can build a world where every child belongs. Please like, share, subscribe for more insight on creating a resilient life that overcomes challenges while embracing joy and happiness along the way. We would love to hear your thoughts. Share them in the comments. Stay well, stay inspired, and keep thriving. Thank you.